tiny quasar. And this is my robot dog, Daughter.
First things first, we're in a really crappy location right here that I'm doing this review in. The lighting's horrible, the backdrop is awful, it's a couch. I feel like I'm kind of distant, and yeah, it kind of sucks. Basically what happened is I loaded my tripod mount and packed it up and everything, not realizing that I had packed it up because it was in with a box of other stuff, and I didn't realize that I had put it there. Anyway, so I don't have my tripod mount, which is what I use a mini tripod to do vlogs. I have like a big one with that mount because I use an iPhone, which is why I need a mount to do like reviews and stuff. So that's all I wanted to say right there. So sorry about this little thing right here. This is the last video that is like a review in this format in this house. So here we go. Anyway, roll intro. Alright, first and foremost, I'd like to give a shout out to RBR Short Films 13. He asked me to give a shout out. If anybody else ever wants a shout out, let me know. You know, I'm kind of trying to like grow this channel as an upcoming channel doing, you know, entertainment, movie stuff, TV stuff, gaming stuff, and I want to grow it the most I can, so I'd like to help out anybody else who's trying to grow their channel. So yeah, RBR Short Films 13. I'll have the link down in the description. Go check him out. He makes fan films, that sort of thing, little short films, and he's a badass. Now also, if you haven't yet, go ahead and check out my moving update that I did yesterday, except for I filmed it and edited it today, which is why I'm still wearing this In-N-Out shirt. This might be the third video in a row that I'm wearing this shirt. If I make a video I plan on, but that video probably end up getting made, so we don't know. But yeah, go check out that moving update. The last moving update, I move in 6 days, so yeah, go ahead and check out that moving update if you want to get the spiel on everything. Anyway, what this video is all about is I'm doing a review on Chronologically Lost, which is a fan-edited version of the television show Lost, which was on ABC, and it ran from 2004 to 2010. And it's my personal favorite show of all time, which is why I checked out this fan edit called Chronologically Lost. Now there's many variations of it, but the one that I saw, I will have a link to in the description if anyone's curious about it, because I heard this was pretty much the best one. It is a torrent, and it's like 65 gigabytes, 110 episodes, or 102, somewhere around there, but the actual show was 120, so it ends up being less episodes, but longer, which I actually liked it that way. I thought that was kind of interesting. But like I said, if you want to check it out, I'll have a link down to that website in the description. There's also a Facebook group called like Chronologically Lost, I believe. But yeah, go check that out. That's where you can find it, down in the description. Now before I go into it, if you have not seen the original TV show of Lost, please do not watch this video. It's a great show, and I think you should really go check out the show before you really see this, before you see Chronologically Lost, because the show will not make sense. Chronologically Lost, it will not make sense unless you've seen the actual show. So go ahead and leave that video if you haven't seen Lost yet, and come back someday when you have seen it and you want to see how Chronological Lost. What? Anyway, I'll talk about the original plot of the show for those who have seen it. As we all know, it's about a group of people who crash on a deserted island after their flight, Oceanic Flight 815, crashes. And they have to learn to survive with the island, survive with all the different forces and problems and creatures and all that stuff. And you have to learn to survive. I think I already said survive, but still. Now the plot of Chronologically Lost is similar, except for we don't get to all that for a couple seasons actually. We start out really seeing the lives of the survivors, and we see a lot. Well, first we see the early days of the island. Then we see like the lives of the survivors and as they grow up, and then how they got to where they were before they got to the island, which is really interesting. You know, you see all kind of stuff with Desmond and Juliet and some of the other people that had come to the island much like they were on the island around 3 years before. Seeing Ben, you know, in the young years, the Dharma Initiative, you get to see all the time flashes when they take place, which is confusing a lot, which I will get to later. But I also kind of like it because you get to see all the stuff in the 70s and the incident and all that stuff that happens in the 70s when it takes place, which is really cool. Now before I go any further, I will say I'm trying to make this video as quick as I can and just really discuss the minor things in it, because not in the best setting right now. I've got a lot of stuff to do, trying to, you know, get prepared to move and all that. So I just want to say this will probably be a quick review, and it might not even end up being that quick. But anyway, now I'm just going to talk about everything I liked about it. Now, I really like the show because, you know, there's a lot of times in the show where it would kind of show things, and the next episode it would show what was happening during that part, but we see it from a different perspective. Now, I like because it does a split screen thing where it shows everything happening at once. There's stuff we don't see till episodes later, like, you know, the tail section and stuff, and the others when they do certain things, Nikki and Paolo. Well, you see all that when it takes place, which I thought was awesome. You get to see a lot of stuff that happened, like how Desmond gets to the island. You get to see, like, it's cool seeing his time spent on the island, and then it moves back and forth between that and other people's regular flashbacks before they all get to the island. You see how he crashes the plane, all that stuff. So in a lot of ways, it does a lot of things great. It does the split screen, it has everything in chronological order, so you don't really, it doesn't revisit a whole lot of stuff that's later in time, or that was earlier in time that's showing up later, which I really like, because in some of the later seasons, it did get confusing with how much, with time, it was just really weird. You know, you have so much random stuff. You'd have like a couple flashback episodes, then a bunch of flash forwards, and then more flashback episodes, mainly in season 5. And then season 6 had the flash sideways, which I liked, but it's done much better in the show, whereas it's at the very end of the show. And it's sort of like after they all, if you know, after the show ends, Jack closes his eye, he dies, and then it's all about the time after that. We do get the epilogue in between, which a lot of people haven't seen, but it involves Walt, Ben, Hurley. It's pretty cool. So check that. You'll get to see that, or if you don't even want to see that, but you want to see like the actual epilogue after you've seen the show, go ahead and look it up on YouTube. It's also on the season 6 DVD. That's how I originally saw it. But what was I? There was something I was going to say about this. Oh yeah, I was talking about the whole thing at the end. So we have the flash sideways, but it actually takes place at the very end, which is a lot better because my dad didn't understand. Like when you have this all happening at once, the flash sideways and the actual season 6 stuff, it's a little bit confusing. So my dad was actually a little confused and didn't realize that this was supposed to be after they got off the island, like, or it's supposed to be after the show ended. I mean, he knew that it was all happening, but he thought it was more like a what if sort of thing. Like, oh, what if this happened? What if we had an alternate like universe? Like it was all parallel universe. But it's more like it's a little bit of that, but it's more the fact that they were in, you know, they go to like a purgatory world where they can all find each other and meet up again before moving on to the afterlife. But that's handled a lot better with this, which I really enjoyed. Now, I don't want to go too much in depth because there's really not much to say. I mean, this is just a fan edit. There's not much to say other than saying that I really liked it, but there are a few problems with it that I did notice. One problem I noticed is sometimes when there's the split screens, the audio is off. Like when Boone is talking to Bernard on the walkie, like right before he falls in the plane, or on that radio, the audio is off. And I know that the guy who did the fan edit did address this, and he just said this was the best he could do it because the way the show was done, the way they did it, it was off a little bit for each time. I mean, they didn't match it up like it would actually match up. So that was one problem. Another thing was everything that was handled with Tom and Michael. After Michael gets off the island, you know, there's the whole thing where Jack fixes Ben, and after he fixes Ben, Tom goes to go see Michael, and then all of a sudden he's back on the island. Like, I'm not even joking. He is there with Michael, telling him like, okay, Kevin Johnson, you're on this freighter, and then all of a sudden he's playing football with Jack, like 5 hours later probably. Like, what? I couldn't do that. That was just a little weird. That was it kind of broke out of the immersion of the show because it wasn't really realistic. But that was really the only thing. It's because they didn't know that they were going to slide that plot in there in season 4. They had no clue they were going to do that. So the way that Tom was handled, they kind of figured, oh, we hadn't seen him in a while during season 3, so why don't we throw him in there in season 4 where he goes to see Michael? But it doesn't work when it's chronologically edited like that because you realize, wow, that's not enough time for all this to have happened, especially considering that the episode The Constant takes place on Christmas Eve, and when Michael is in the accident where he's trying to kill himself, before Tom comes to see him, there's Christmas decorations, which means it couldn't be more than a month, you know, because like Thanksgiving, people might put Christmas stuff in the retail stores, but no one puts out Christmas decorations until around the week of Thanksgiving. So a month between the time that he tries to kill himself, gets out of the hospital, goes and starts living a normal life again. Tom comes to see him, tells him to get on the freighter. He's hesitant, decides to get on the freighter. Everything happens here. Like, what? They're all on the freighter for like a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden, like, they're here and it's Christmas Eve. That doesn't all happen in a month. It doesn't all happen in a month. So that was really, sorry about that little rant. That was just one thing I did not understand about it, the way they did it. Other than that, those were really the only two problems I saw. I mean, this was a great edit. It was really just that, a couple other parts where it didn't seem like, there were some parts where it didn't seem like the things were placed exactly in the correct spot, but it's not a big deal. You know, this was a great fan edit. I still really enjoyed it. My final thoughts on the whole thing is, if you've seen Lost, go ahead and watch the fan edit. It's fantastic. It's awesome to see it this way. It's a new way to rewatch it. That's what I really loved about it. I mean, I've seen the show. This is one of my favorite shows, and for me, it never gets old. I love, you know, just have this on in the background. I'll do it every summer. I'll watch the entire show, and this time I decided to do it chronologically, and it was like a whole different experience. It was my 7th time watching the show, and it was actually just a much different experience this time. So if you haven't watched it this way, go ahead and watch it. It's great to watch it this way, in my opinion. Overall, I'm going to have to give Chronologically Lost, the fan edit of Lost, a B+. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and check out my Facebook, my Twitter, all that stuff down in the description, all my social media, my Instagram. Really appreciate that. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Go ahead and like, comment, all that good stuff. Tell your friends. And that's about it. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.